Hello, welcome back to the SCW Wrestling Podcast. This is Off the Record, and this is a very special episode. I'm joined by a very special guest, none other than former LEP Academy champion and one of the future stars of wrestling in the Southwest, none other than Mr. Jason Kin. How are you this evening, Jason?
Hello, my friend. I'm very good. How are you?
Very well. Are you having a good weekend?
Yeah, things are going well for me. Yeah, life's good.
Brilliant. So you're now 7 days away from one of the most important matches of your career. How are you feeling?
I'm ready. You know, obviously you referenced in my PWA tag title match there. We wrestled the Bristol Boys in 7 days' time, as you said correctly. My first opportunity at a tag team title. Really, really excited. You know, I'm in shape. I'm raring to go. Life's good. This next week's just going to be, still working for the next few days, still working out and still putting the last minute touches on what needs to be done to get us ready. But then it'll be 3 or 4 days of relaxing before the show and not doing anything too strenuous, just making sure I'm sharp in all the areas I need to be sharp in. But I'm pretty ready for this. You know, I think that the Bristol Boys have never wrestled us before. I don't know if they've ever wrestled anybody quite like us, because I think the difference between the King's Court, me and Adam Flint, and a lot of other teams is that we're still looking to improve every day. We're always working, always learning, and always studying. Those early days for us, we've been thrust onto the main stage because, I mean, let's not forget the PWA tag titles are the oldest, most prestigious tag titles in Devon or Cornwall. These are the most prestigious tag titles in the Southwest wrestling scene. Okay, so for us to get the opportunity, some people said to us, you know, is it too soon for you guys? Having only teamed together a few times, but you know, we gel so well. If you've ever seen our work, we gel so well together. It feels like we've been teaming together for years. And you know, right place, right time, big opportunity. But it's the big opportunity for a big team. You know, we're ready for this, and all I can say to the Bristol Boys is you better be ready too, because this isn't one of those ones where you've got to scrape home. You know, you've got to come in, you've got to work hard, you got to get, you know, the living, you know what, kicked out of you. And I'm sure they're probably going to try and give us a good battering too, but we'll be ready. You know, I'm really, you can probably tell by my mannerisms and my tone here that I'm confident and I feel comfortable. The Bristol Boys are a good team, former Pro EVW tag champs twice. So if they didn't fluke it one time, they won them twice. You know, they're a skilled team. But I don't know how much they team together anymore. You know, a lot of people are blaming, you know, a potential loss on the fact that they're saying, you know, the Bristol Boys are on their way out as a team and all these stupid things, trying to write us off already. But I think, you know, smart money, being a gambler like I was, smart money goes on the King's Court. You know, I'm ready for this. Really, really excited, really pumped. And it's business as usual on Sunday night.
Brilliant. PWA Rising this coming Sunday then. Are you not sort of slightly worried that before this match, the Bristol Boys, Alan Daniels and Mark Rivers, defeated not only the Renegades, but PJ Jones and UK Dominator? These guys are going in with a win streak. Does that not kind of worry you?
No. If you look at the way that they beat PJ Jones and the UK Dominator, that contest, UK Dominator turned on PJ Jones, low blowed in the middle of the ring. So, you know, that's almost redundant. You know, that kind of rules out PJ Jones, who calls himself the winner. He didn't win that day, did he? And the UK Dominator, you know, he's probably had enough of PJ Jones and his silliness. So, whatever reason, he decided to kick him in the balls and send him home. That was the end of that. And then you've got the Renegades, good team, young team, two pleasant guys. I've never worked with them. But again, I look at them the same way I look at the Bristol Boys. You know, you've got to remember the Renegades have got an opportunity versus John Harding and the Mad Dog. Those two have got, those two, Vinnie Clay, those two are number one contenders tag match at the same show. You know, so the winning team there will wrestle, you know, the winner of our match. I mean, and you got to remember as well, the loser in our match goes to the back of the line. So either the Bristol Boys or the King's Court go to the back of the queue after Sunday. It goes start all over again, back to the drawing board. It's not something we're prepared to do. We're not prepared to, I mean, you can bring the Renegades in, and, you know, but I don't fear them. If it's Renegades next, then what we'll do is we'll sit down and we'll study. And we'll look at the Renegades and we'll look what they can do. If it's Vinnie Clay and John Hardy, and, you know, two guys I've wrestled loads of times. If it's them, we'll sit down and we'll study. It's no different. But we're not looking past the Bristol Boys. Do we fear those kind of teams? No, we don't. We believe we're the best tag team in the Southwest. We believe we're the number one team in the Southwest. Step one to prove it was beating John Harding and that 7-foot runner Bean Krieger, which we did. Step two, win the most prestigious tag titles in Devon. That's Sunday night. No fear. No fear. I don't fear anybody as a team. It's not how we win. It's not how we grow. We don't come into this with the attitude we're going to lose. We're coming with the attitude we're going to win. 7 days to go.
Brilliant. I was going to say, how does it compare preparing for a tag team title match rather than sort of a singles title match? What's the preparation like, and what's different, would you say?
That's a great question. So the difference with this is, that I'm someone experienced to talk about being a champion. For a year and a bit, I was the LEP Academy champion. And what a lot of people didn't understand about being the LEP Wrestling Academy champion was, with it being an Academy championship, there's always somebody new coming into the mix. There's not a lot of videotapes and there's not a lot of footage for Academy wrestlers. What that means is, if you're the heavyweight champion somewhere, people will argue you wrestle the best guys in that company, in that part of the country, and that's fine. But you can watch videotapes, you can study, you can look at these guys, see where their weaknesses are, see where their strengths are, because most of them will have had hundreds and hundreds of matches that you can study. I had to wrestle guys where there was no footage. I had to wrestle guys that were young and fresh and hungry, trying new things that we'd never seen before. And if I was to fail at any point, that was on me. And I had to accept that was on me. Now, a good team, a good partnership, when they prepare, they must be on the same wavelength. There can be no discrepancies. We've got to agree on just about everything, down to a T. Because if we don't, and if one of us makes a mistake, and it costs us big, then the other one's going to say, that's on you. That's your loss that you've got to deal with. You've got to make up for. The good thing about me and Adam Flint is we're so on the same page. 11 times out of 10, we're getting the same thing. We're finishing each other's sentences. We're watching footage. We're picking up on things. We've studied hours and hours and hours of the Bristol boys together. I'll pick up on something, then show him, and he'll pick up on something, show me. We'll practice routines. We know what their strengths are. We know what their weaknesses are. Preparing for a tag title match, you've got to be prepared and you've got to be able to rely on your partner. You need to know that if, it hits the fan, the crap hits the fan, you need to know that when you spin round, he's there. He's got your back. If you get taken out in a flurry, because that can happen so many times, you need to know that if you're outside doing your thing, whooping somebody's backside, that your partner can be in the ring doing the business. Or if you're looking for that tag, if you're in trouble, he's going to be there for you. I have that faith in Alan Flint, and Alan Flint has that faith in me. Preparation difference is you're with somebody, you're putting that trust, which is hard for human beings to trust. It's hard to do, but I trust him and he trusts me. That's what's going to make us a great team.
It's great to hear you've got that bond. Speaking of limited edition pro wrestling, the $1 million question, we have to get this sort of out there now. Why haven't you been seen in LEP? What's sort of going on? What's transpired so far?
So that's a good question. A lot of people ask me, when I left in Torquay, I'd lost my championship to Maximo under the circumstances. And, I've had plenty of time to think about it and to, weigh up what's occurred. I think it's one of those situations where we couldn't agree on the next steps for Jason King. Unfortunately, there were several things occurring backstage that didn't sit well with me and my team, and we couldn't come to agreement on certain things. As time has gone by, it's all water under the bridge. I've spoken to LEP management. I've discussed the return with them. The figures all match up, which is always important. The opportunity matches up. What we wish to do, like my team of people, what they wish to do, is all kind of coming together again. We've talked. There's nothing set in stone. There's no 100% guarantee. I can't announce, officially here now, this will be the date and that's where I'll be and that's what I'll be doing. But, talks are positive. I will be back. I think I needed time away. That loss of my belt was as much psychological as it was physical. Knee injuries that were plaguing me for a long time, that needed to be fixed from earlier in the year. So let's not forget I went 7 months with a knee injury. I used to wear a knee pad on my left knee, which I don't need to wear anymore. 6-7 months I went with an injured knee, and I could never not defend that championship because I was a fighting champion. Something, I never bragged to the people that I was injured, and I never said I'm defending this belt injured. I never told anybody, and I always kept that quiet. Competition were very, very stiff, but your time in the limelight in this life can be so short that you cannot miss the opportunity when you're on top. You can't just say, do you know what? because that knee injury might have taken me out for good. Had it taken me out for good, I'd never come back, then it would have only been, 6, 7, 8 months that I was in the limelight. And if I'd have not done all I could have done in those moments, I wouldn't have been proud of myself. I wouldn't have been able to look at myself in 30 years' time and say, do you know what? You gave everything you had while you had the opportunity. But now the knee is fixed. I'm feeling good again. And like I say, we've been talking to LEP. And I'm sure, the time will come. I mean, I've got a rematch clause. We all know that. It's no secret. So when I'm ready and when everything matches up, I think my first opponent's likely. I can't say for definite. I'll have to speak to my manager, etc. But it's likely. It's likely that you're gonna see Jason King wrestle Blake Harrison. I think Blake Harrison probably knows in the back of his mind that the way he won that title was shoddy and crappy. But that's something that maybe we can discuss later on.
I was going to say, speaking of LEP, it's almost like they need a hero. They're clearly under this constant invasion from the legendary Dead Man's Hand stable. What have you made of this threat to LEP? And do you think going back into that sort of almost war zone is going to be a wise move for Jason King? Or do you believe, against even the reject Blake Harrison, do you reckon it's clearly not going to be a fair fight, is it?
It's funny you say this because someone asked me this the other day, and I think it's one of those things where Vinny Clay is somebody that I've spoken to more as time has gone by. Over the time that we've known each other, we respect each other more, and I wouldn't say we're friends, but we've talked. And he took a battering several times. I've seen some footage of the shows, and I've spoken to colleagues and things that were at the shows and said, these, whatever they call themselves, the Dead Man's Hand, these yobbos in masks, they're coming out and they're just kind of kicking everybody's ass and acting tough and acting scary. Children come to these shows. You know what I mean? And I think the thing you got to understand is you coming out in masks and attacking people in gangs is not good for the kids to see. It's not impressive. I'm not impressed by the Dead Man's Hand. I'm not someone that fears the Dead Man's Hand. I'm not somebody that looks at them and cowers away. You're not going to get that from Jason King. That's my guarantee, okay? And people know me, and whether they like me or not, I know that they respect me because I earned that. The Dead Man's Hand haven't earned anybody's respect. They've come in numbers. They've come in and kicked everybody's ass, but they've done it in a fashion that is not admirable. It's cowardly, and it's cold and it's sinister. And to be honest with you, I've not crossed paths with them yet. When I wrestle Blake Harrison, if that's what's going to be next for me in LEP Wrestling, if that's what's next, then I think it's clear for all of us. I think it's clear to see that they're going to want to probably get involved in my business. Now, realistically, my track record speaks for itself. Everybody knows who I am. I'm quite open, quite fair, I think. My warning, and it is a warning, a public warning on this podcast, is this. For the Dead Man's Hand. Because I know they'll listen, because apparently they're everywhere. They're probably in their mum's basement right now. Listen to this. Okay? Playing some stupid rock music. Some emo music. Dead Man's Hand. My name, as if you didn't already know, is Jason King. In these parts, I am kind of a big deal because of my work ethic, my passion, and my track record. My advice for you, if you are trying to make a name for yourself, is stay out of my way. I will not let a bunch of yobbos, a bunch of masked lunatics come in and spoil my chance to win my belt back. If they get in my way, I will not be held responsible for my actions. That is my message to the Dead Man.
What do you think, Jason, that LEP should do about Dead Man's Hand? What would you do if you was in charge of LEP? How would you stop this threat? Clearly, they can come and go as they want. Although security's been there, no one's been able to stop them. You got to sort of almost admire what they've done.
I would do. Let me ask you a question. What do you do with a pest? What do you do with an illness or a disease? What you do is you kill it and you cut it out. You understand? If this was the old days and you had gangrene in your foot, to save your life, they'd cut your foot off. That's what they would do. They would cut your foot off, and you'd say, I don't want to lose my foot. They'd say, lose the foot to save your life. If LEP intends to grow, if LEP intends to go to the next level in 2017, which I have no doubt they will, They grew 2016. They went on the road. That's touring. That's big for LEP. 2017, I'm sure they'll grow again. They cannot do that with poison on their doorstep. They can't do that with an illness like the dead man's hand. What I would do if I was LEP is I would ban them from the buildings. I would hire more security. I would make sure these weasels didn't come and go as they pleased. Because Dead Man's Hand are making it look like they run the show and not LEP. And we can't have that. I mean, it's not my business. I don't care. You know, I'm just telling you what I think. If it was my business, I'd find out who they were. I'd round them up. I'd give them the idea that their fathers should have gave them when they were little. I'd send them packing back to their mum's basement where they live.
What do you make of? Oh, fair comment. What do you make of sort of Blake, the reject, Blake Harrison, being revealed as one of them? Were you surprised? Obviously, you spent time in the locker room with Blake previously. Were you surprised that he's sort of come out and unmasked with this latest sort of twist?
Here's the thing with Blake Harrison. You know, we all used to know him as TC Harris, and he was backstage, and the guy used to keep himself to himself a lot, and he was always whinging, he's always complaining. You know, he's one of those guys where, yes, he's really, really good. We get that, okay? He's really talented, and he's a young man with a lot of passion. We know that. No one's disputing his ability. We know he can compete. We know his degree of class and his work ethic. But he was always whinging about something. Somebody was always getting an opportunity before him. Somebody was always getting more than he got. It was a natural kind of turn. He kept himself to himself many times. I saw him storm out of the locker room in a stress about something that was nothing. Most of the guys ignored him, didn't really bother to talk to him. Months later, the guy comes out and calls himself Blake Harrison, the reject. I mean, what is this talk of reject? It's like he's just hit puberty and he's 13 years old and he's just told his parents, I can do what I want, I'm a man now. You almost got to say to him, you almost got to sit him down and say, kid, do not get involved with a gang of idiots that run around in masks. You almost want to send him to boarding school to toughen him up and straighten him out. You know, it's just, I don't think he's a bad guy. I think he's misled. That's all it is. He's like a kid that you got to pat on the head or a dog and just say, run along. Stop being silly. That's what I think of Blake Harrison.
Okay, fair comment. I was going to ask, what would you say is your current opinion on the state of the wrestling in the southwest of England, if that makes sense? What do you think of the current promotions and current sort of strengths and weaknesses, if I may ask you?
Oh, in the south at the moment, in the southwest?
Yeah.
So if we cover exactly who we've got in the southwest, right? You've got UPW, Pro Wrestling Pride, the DWA, the PWA, CCW Open in Cornwall, Big League Wrestling, LEP. Have I missed anybody?
No, I think you've covered them all.
DWA,
did you do DWA as well?
Yeah, DWA, yeah, I said them. That's 7 or 8 companies we've got, okay? In the space of probably a 200-mile radius, maybe 250. You've got to understand, we've never had that many wrestling companies before, which means 2 things. 1, an oversaturated market. 2, plenty of opportunity for workers. Those 2 things, one is good, one is bad. Oversaturated means more opportunity for fans to see the wrestlers they wish to see, which means they will attend less shows because they have seen the wrestlers 2 nights ago, 20 miles down the road. Why would they go to another show? Now, that's not me slating wrestling in the southwest. That's a fact. People won't part with their money to say the same thing over and over and over. Some of the companies in the southwest at the moment are offering plenty of opportunities to plenty of guys. If we look at what we have in general, the strongest we've ever been in the southwest for wrestling. There was a time when Pro Wrestling Pride were running huge shows quite regularly. It's not the case at the moment. Big League have come in now. Big League are running the largest shows in the southwest. They ran one, and it was humongous. Headlined by MVP and Ken Anderson. You know, I watched the match. I sat and watched. It was insanely good. UPW, great numbers. Went to Yeovil. I was on the card. I wrestled a match versus Grayson Reeves. We broke the attendance record of the damn hall. You know, I'm not kidding. Somebody nearly came in and said, stop putting seats out. We can't fit that many people in. UPW are absolutely booming right now. The PWA, after the show with Drew McIntyre, 6-7 months ago. Drew McIntyre was here 6-7 months ago. Now, They're rising up again. Using all fresh faces, new talent. They've announced T-Bone from the UK tournament. They've announced Bubblegum, possibly the best wrestler in the country. They've announced the best tag team in Europe, the Hooligans, to all come down next year. This year even, in April. The DWA, back up running shows with the top training centre, possibly in Devon. LEP, back in Torquay, on the grow again. Went touring last year. Everybody. CCW opened up in Cornwall to replace CPW. On that market that everybody needs to tap into in Cornwall. Cornwall loves wrestling. Wrestling loves Cornwall. CCW opening up. It's never been so good as it is right now. There's never been so much opportunity for workers, for promoters, for fans to get down and see what they love. The only downside to this is this. The only downside is with all that saturation, same guys being used over and over, fans have a great opportunity to see wrestlers over and over and then decide, if I don't catch him this week at one company's show, I may catch him again, in 3 weeks' time at another person's show. Then numbers can dwindle sometimes. Okay. Doesn't always work that way, but sometimes it does.
Okay, no, that's very interesting. Does that make sense? Very, very interesting. Just to raise a couple of valid points with you. So, Big League Wrestling, for example, are bringing over such stars as Alberto Del Rio and Mr. Anderson coming in February for their sort of second card, and also bringing over such people as Sanjay Dutt and Harlan Bravado, formerly of TNA. Do you kind of look at it, obviously, as a wrestler? Do you think that's good they're bringing over foreign stars, or do you reckon it makes it a lot harder for sort of people that haven't been on TV, or people that are brand new, or people that are sort of just local to get sort of the bookings on the shows, if that makes sense? It's very much who's drawing the seat. Is it sort of the established star, or do you reckon the new people, or the local people, are the ones that could probably bring more people to shows?
No, I think bringing over a Del Rio is great news. Or El Patron, I think he calls himself now, doesn't he? El Patron. For me, you can't really see what negative is there to him coming to town. 500-600 people got to fill out the Exmouth, the pavilion, the Exmouth. I haven't seen anybody draw those kind of numbers in Exmouth since VPW. I know companies have tried to run Exmouth and they've turned it down. They said, no, you can't run the pavilion, because they want an all-star style show of, great magnitude, guaranteed numbers or nothing. And a lot of people can't offer that. Big League come in, and Alberto Del Rio or Dos Caras, whatever you want to call him, he, let's not forget, he is an A-star level competitor. I'm not talking like, and I don't mean this disrespect, so take like Ryback, leaves the WWE, okay? And Ryback is a huge star. Cody Rhodes is a huge star, yeah? These guys are huge stars in wrestling. But for me, like in my mind, Alberto Del Rio is like an A-star. Like, he's at the same level as anybody you can think of in wrestling today. He's the very, very, for me, in my opinion, the very, very top level. Like, that's my opinion. Someone might say, don't be daft, he's whatever. But to me, he's probably one of the top 3 to 5 in the world. And if you ever watch Del Rio, he's so precise, he's vicious, his movement is good, his technical ability is insanely good, he looks good. Here's a guy, that I was hooked when he joined the WWE. To me, he had star power from his first moment, from his first promo I saw that I'll never forget to the day I die. I was hooked. Absolutely hooked. An honest man that refuses to lie. This guy is star quality. Him coming over can only mean good things for anybody that works that show. Because anybody that works that show is about to learn from one of the best guys that ever graced a wrestling ring. Ever. That can only mean good things for the local guys that get on that show. And I say good luck to all of them.
Definitely. I really hope that show does well. Clearly, they've packed the card with numerous almost household names. I think it's going to be a really good thing. It's definitely probably the biggest card we've ever had here in the Southwest. And I really hope, I think this is just the start for Big League Wrestling. I think they really sort of are going places. You can see sort of with the presentation and everything. There's some real sort of good ideas and real good talent there to go forward. What do you think? What I would ask as well, do you think sort of with this whole sort of resurgence of sort of imports coming over to the southwest. That says this is the biggest it's ever been, really, of us bringing wrestlers over that we'd never normally see. Like, so would you say during your early days of being a wrestler, when you did used to work with such people as Billy Gunn and people like that, you'd expect to have seen people such as Del Rio all the way down in Exeter, for example, or Exmouth?
No, because there was no wrestling back then down here. There was no Southwest Wrestling. All you had was VPW coming down here in the summer, to one show in the summer down here, and one in the winter. Like one in October, one in August. That was all you had, and maybe one in the March time or something. But they never had, they never had, those kind of guys. They had Billy Gunn come down here and Road Dogg, but that was it. 2 times out of ever, I guess. 2 times out of ever that they've ever come down here. To the southwest. There was none of this. It wasn't taken for granted. I mean, but then let's look at last year and the year before that. Pro Wrestling Pride brought a load of, they had, let's look at what they did. Kenny Omega came over here, Rob Van Dam, Hacksaw Jim Duggan. So, Harker Holly's been back over here. So we've been real small for choice of American talent coming over to, compete in the Southwest. It's been really, really a good time for wrestlers, I think, and fans.
I think the way I look at it is sort of if you look at it from a business perspective as well, I think it's nothing better than seeing a local talent go over such an established star. It gives that talent such a lift, doesn't it? It sends the fans happy.
Yeah, absolutely.
Look at this. And what I would say as well is, obviously recently we've had the WWE UK tournament. What did you make of WWE launching the UK belt? Isn't that fantastic?
Amazing. You couldn't really ask for anything better than that for British wrestlers, because the fact is, every British wrestler, I think, mostly, unless 99% of them, 99% of them, you would imagine, would want to be in the WWE. I mean, there might be the odd exception. I don't know who they are or what it is that they want out of wrestling. If it's not a spot in the WWE, I don't know why they wrestle if that's not what they want. I think you've got to look at the beauty of the UK tournament is wrestlers contracted to WWE from Britain, still able to live in Britain, work in Britain, do things in the UK. They don't have to go to America all the time to do it, which is nice to do that, don't get me wrong. But isn't it nice to be home with your family too? To work selected dates each year. And be told, okay, we want to put you on a contract, etc. You can stay where you're living, see your family. You're not on the road as much, one would imagine, because you won't be touring around the world at this stage. I think is a fair assessment. To me, it's stellar news, and it's all steps in the right direction. And the young man that won it, Tyler Bate, he's a young man, isn't he? I've not
19.
seen him. No, it's a lie. I did watch him wrestle. I watched him wrestle at a Progress show in London. In Camden? Was that where I watched that show? Camden. He was good. He he's got to be pretty good, because let's be honest, he will go down in the record books now as the first ever WWE UK champion. That will never, ever be replicated. That will never be taken away from him. He will be the first one ever. That can never, ever be duplicated, So yeah. He will go in the record books forever. So, you look at probably Pete Dunne. He did pretty well.
Yeah, he was fantastic. He was amazing in that tournament. Pete Dunne was unbelievable. Just to say that, regarding Tyler Bate, he's going to become only the second 19-year-old ever to win a championship in WWE history. The only other person to do it was Rennie Dupree. To see WWE put such faith in such a young person is really positive as well. And I think that the tournament was a great idea. It was great to see just WWE have a platform in this country. It just looked like we just to see certain wrestlers on the main stage, if that makes sense. I also think as well, you could like this, quite a few wrestlers stood out for me. I thought Mark Andrews stood out. You never would have known he was from TNA Boot Camp. I thought he really sort of had a good impact. I thought Wolfgang, the Insane Championship Wrestling Champion, looked good. And also Trent Seven. And also, obviously, Pete Dunne as well. There's 4 wrestlers there instantly that you'd want to see again. And I think if you look like this, already 2 of the wrestlers from that tournament have been signed this week. Saxon Haxley and Dan Maloney that were on the tournament have both been signed. Isn't that positive though? Wrestlers have had this cameo sort of in the tournament, and now they can go back to sort of the home promotions, and sort of they're going to draw, aren't they? Based on that the people generally will associate them with being WWE superstars now, which is fantastic for British wrestling and bring crowds in.
Yeah, do you know what? I think you're spot on. Can't argue with you at all. I think you're completely correct. Just, it's simply more opportunity. And listen, more opportunity means more money, and more money means so more opportunity, more money, more exposure, more wrestling, which means a better product, which means a better future, which means more eyes on what we do, a bigger audience, which will bring about again a better lifestyle for everybody. If there's anybody that's, I've seen a few guys say that they were unhappy they weren't in the tournament, or they were unhappy that the way it was presented, or not the WWE. That was more the world of sport thing. I suppose we'll come to that later. But the WWE thing, I've only ever heard, nobody I've seen has said anything bad about it, which is just more credit to not just the workers, but also the WWE. Because they are so good at production value. They're the best in the world. I've never, ever seen anybody that can put on production like the WWE. Nobody, it might be as good, like in Hollywood or places like that, but nobody's any better than the WWE at presenting their product. And I think they did a wonderful, stellar job presenting the WWE UK tournament. It's all thumbs up from me, from where I am and my perspective as a man looking to progress and improve and build his name. I look at that as like you've got the world of sport, you've got the UK tournament, you've got the 205, all these things now that UK wrestlers can say, I can do that, like I can get there. There's no reason that we can't. Do you understand what I mean?
What I would say as well, though, Jason, why would you say, though, out of both the world of sport and the WWE UK tournament, why none of the Southwest wrestlers are on it? That really sort of annoyed me. I thought there's so many good wrestlers here in the Southwest. Why do you think we were overlooked?
Fine question. Very, very good question. And it's one that I've probably got to answer. I guess the right term is
diplomatically.
Diplomatically, yeah. I think so. I shall keep my words as soft and sweet as I can. I think diplomatically is the right word. It's frustrating because if they'd have said, okay, come up for a training session, send me some footage, show me what you can do, I would say, what's this? And if I showed them like this, I'll take me as an example. If I said, this is my work, watch me, this is what I've got, if they watched it and said, okay, here's some feedback, I didn't like this, I don't want that, blah, blah, I'd say, fine, that's fine. But at least I tried, I was given an opportunity to try. I was given the opportunity to say, see me, see what you think. I don't know that anybody, other than one guy I've spoken to, was even given a look in. You know what I mean? And I know that the world of sport was some guys up north. It was I think it was somebody's partner, I believe, that got the world of sport back on TV. So thank you to whoever that was. Somebody wrestling related, but they were from up north, and therefore it was all north up there. It was all the northern thing, really, to be honest.
Yeah.
The UK tournament, it's a bit more upsetting that nobody from the South was selected because the UK, the WWE is so good. They've got talent scouts all over the world, everywhere. And I just think it's quite upsetting that we were potentially overlooked. If you look at the Southwest wrestling scene, we've got some real good talented guys down here. I think that it's that I put in again, I'll use me as an example because of what I don't like to do is speak for anybody else. So it's not that I'm trying to toot my own horn toot all the damn time, but I can't speak for somebody else. I can't say he thinks this and he thinks that. I can't do that. But what I can do is speak for me. And I'm still relatively new in this business, but I'm working hard every day, and I'm getting new opportunities every day, which I appreciate. And I'm giving it all I've got every day. And for me, it's like it would have been nice when something like that come up for somebody to just say, okay, let's cast our eye down there. Just give them the option to send us some footage. Just give them the chance to show me, pop in for a training, just anything, something for them to say, what is down there? What is in those parts? And I don't think that ever really happened. I don't think anybody that got on the tournament was from the South, even from Bristol. So it's really, really quite disappointing that,
I really think sort of
this far down.
Sorry, I really think in terms of Southwest promotions, when you look at sort of some of the other promotions that were sort of had exposure, such as Progress Wrestling and Insane Championship Wrestling, there's a real lack of building sort of a partnership almost. If you look at Insane Championship Wrestling, for example, out of Scotland, WWE not only took some of their wrestlers, but they also gave them Finn Balor for a night to draw people. And also, if you look at Progress Wrestling will give them Tommy End as well. So it's a shame, really, that there isn't nobody in the Southwest or any promotions in the Southwest that have got that link to WWE to be able to get almost bigger names in, which will also further help them. Can you ever see any promotions forming with WWE or going to that level in the Southwest, or do you reckon that we're so far behind, unfortunately?
We're not. I don't think that we're so far behind, because production value is getting better down here too. Yeah. PWA are doing really well with their production now. It's getting a lot better. The DWA, their setup is really good, of the way they run their shows. I think that Big League are doing great. They're a PLC, public limited company, so they're going to take things to a real whole new level with any luck. A professional standard that's there. We're not. I don't believe we're far behind talent-wise. I think there is a few of us that I would like to get the guys from the north and the guys from the south and the guys from London to all come together and have a show and see who could do what, and get the different styles together, etc. And I think that would be really cool. I don't think that we're behind them. I think you'll get rogue companies all over the country, whether it be the south, whether it be the Midlands, whether it be the north, London. I don't think we're behind in the way of talent. I think you often hear the praises of some of the guys up north a lot more, because with a lot of them, I think they probably got better TV. By the sounds of it up there, they seem to be a lot closer to TV than we are. I don't know how that works, but they all seem to be. I don't know if it's Alex Shane, who's I know is related to a lot of TV up there, and he's from the north, isn't he?
He's a Londoner, actually. Sorry to interrupt you, Jace. He's a Londoner, unsurprisingly, but he might have relocated up north.
But he must have. I think he's
with that Wrestle Talk TV. He's got his finger in loads of different things, hasn't he? He's very good at even when he used to have a wrestling radio show on TalkSport. He's here, there, or everywhere, isn't he?
Yeah, he's done very, very well for himself, and you can't knock it. But they all seem to be. It's more like the links tend to be up north for TV and things like that. But then you look at the WAW in Norwich. They're so good that they couldn't be ignored, which I really, really like. They're again, production value going through the roof. They're so good that you can't ignore them. You can't, act like they're not there, because they are. And I really, really was quite pleased for them to get on TV, because I think they were overlooked for a degree of time. Their quality, I think down the south here, I think we can go to that next level. We can do it, and we are progressing. And you're watching companies progress. Like I say, I speak highly of the PWA at the moment, who are taking things to the next level. And you've got Big League have opened up, and UPW are drawing great numbers every show. There are companies here that are growing, that are gaining ground, and it's really, really cool to see. I don't think we're behind in that sense. Certainly in the way of talent. We've got I shan't, but I could fire off the list of 3, 4, 5 names of guys down in these parts that I think can probably wrestle as good as anybody. And I think you've got up north or in the Midlands or London. In the south, you've got guys that are specialists in different things like they are. You've got great wrestlers down here, great technical wrestlers. Then you've got great, high flyers. Then you've got great showmen. We've got just as much as they've got. I think. I'm a southerner. That's who I'm Exeter. So I can never believe that we're not at the quality of anybody else. I'd match what we do with anybody else. Any time, any place, anywhere. Always would. There's a little friendly challenge thrown out to them there. Definitely. That's the way I would. That's the way I would say that.
Excellent.
I don't think we're behind it.
That's interesting to hear. Obviously, this week as well, there's been some positive news. A new promotion called by 5-Star Wrestling, called Dominant Wrestling, is actually launching on Freeview this coming Saturday at 8 o'clock. And some of the stars they've booked people such as Rey Mysterio, Drew Galloway, John Morrison, Carlito, Caribbean Cool, Jay Lethal, people like that, and also the ex-Magnus from TNA. This is coming out of Scotland again. Why do you think Scotland seems to have so much luck with getting the larger crowds in and going to the right people, if that makes sense? National TV coverage on a Saturday night on Freeview. It's pretty impressive for wrestling, isn't it, in this country? Unbelievable.
Very impressive. Very. And you know what? I'd probably say extremely impressive, to be honest, is what I would call it. I would also say Why? I don't know. I mean, they can't have more money in Scotland because they're using our money. They're using English sterling. So I'm not
Yeah,
really
of
sure.
course.
See what I did there? But I'm not gonna. I'm not gonna. I think. I'm not sure what they're doing, but I know ICW do great numbers, and they pushed Grado and made the most unlikely man a star, which I think is excellent, by the way. Although I've never met him, I'd like to. I'd like to work with him. Yeah, I think I could have a great time. Jason King and Grado, I think it would be wonderful. But I think whatever it is they're doing, let's learn from them. Let's ask them. What it wouldn't take. I'd love to go up to Scotland and speak to the promoters and find out what they did, what they're doing, how they're managing that. Because my fear a lot of the time is that a lot of promoters don't almost have that. They want to humble themselves to the point of going, okay, how do I get to that next level? How do I learn? How do I grow? What's next? How do we further what we've got? I fear that a lot of them maybe won't do that. I wish they would, because I'd love to, and I'm not a promoter, but I'd love to go up there and find out how they've managed to get on TV. How did they manage to get these opportunities? How did they get back on, wrestling back on TV? I would love to know. I would absolutely be thrilled to know how they did it. I think it's, again, extremely positive. British
Definitely.
wrestling is on TV. You know,
And
that's great news. That's never ever bad news. Bit of a shame. Bit of a shame that they're getting British wrestling back on TV and bringing over all these American stars. It's a bit of a, it's a bit like, oh, like, because I don't know how many British guys are in it. From what you just told me,
there's a
the
couple.
Martians, Cardigo.
The couple of people that are in it that are from Britain, Joe Coffey, he was on the ITV
Oh,
special as well already. Obviously Magnus, which is more sort of, obviously you've seen him in TNA, you know him from sort of TNA. You're looking at people such
yeah.
as Mark Haskins, Joe Henry, Jack Jester. Clearly, if you've seen Insane Championship Wrestling, the Fight Club, Jack Jester is always a fantastic watch. I think sort of it's just great just to see wrestling back on TV, if that makes sense. So clearly, TNA unfortunately lost their deal on Challenge TV earlier, sort of, no, not earlier, late last year, right at the end of last year. But to have wrestling back on TV, but literally sort of straight away live in like a prime time special, it's just really, really positive. I just would love to see something similar for the Southwest, really. I think sort of we've got so many fantastic talents, so many fantastic promotions. Clearly, Limited Edition Pro Wrestling is producing the future stars of wrestling. People such as Vinny Clay, people such as yourself. It'd be really great to see you guys sort of getting that opportunity sort of to go on to the next level. So what would you say in the next 12 months are your predictions for Jason King?
Well, I've set myself a little list that I want to achieve. So I want to for like let's talk in wrestling because there are things I want to do outside of wrestling, but numbers in the gym I want to hit and maybe get a role in like acting that I want to get. And but in wrestling, the things I want, I want to win a heavyweight title. I want to build up myself to the point where I can get a shot at heavyweight championship. I think some companies, I'm probably ranked. Some, depending which company I'm with, they rank me differently. So some companies rank me, one way, and another company ranks me another way, depending on my wins and losses, etc. And I just think that this year, the end of last year, I intended to make a conscious effort to challenge for the AEP Heavyweight Championship. The people wanted to see it. I wanted to do it. But the problem with that was my knee problem that had to be fixed. So that was ruled out. This year, I intend to become heavyweight champion. I'm not sure where yet. I haven't decided where. But
I'm sure you're going to do it.
I'm looking to get to that next. What's that, sorry?
I'm sure you're going to do it. I think you've got that drive, the charisma. Clearly, you're
Yeah.
ever improving. You've even gone to the level of doing gymnastics just to further improve your craft, which how many wrestlers probably do that? I'm really intrigued to see Jason Kim back in wrestling. Clearly, you're doing so much across the Southwest as well, which is really positive. Just a couple of last questions I've got for you that I probably should have asked last time during our first ever interview, but I'm going to ask you now. If I could just ask you, what's the best advice you've ever gotten?
Oh, what a great question. Wow. Okay, good one. And you know what? I don't want to sound like I'm just name dropping, but it was from Hardcore Holly, Bob Holly, that gave me this advice. And I took this advice that he gave me as life advice. It wasn't just wrestling. Because one really good piece of advice he gave me, he was talking to us all, and he said, in this business, he said, you get a lot of people you meet, but you don't get many friends. He said, you don't really get many friends, he said. And he told us, he said, you're whinging and you're bitching and you're crying. He said, save it for when you're at home with the people that you trust, the people you love. He said, don't be doing that crap in the locker rooms, because you'll just come out looking like, as soon as you crap on somebody else is going to crap on you. He said, do not put yourself in that position where you're opening up to being, that kind of thing. Now, he told me that when I was 21. Okay? I'm 28 now. I took from him that piece of advice and took it with me for the past 7 years. That's why most guys backstage in locker rooms and things will probably tell you I'm very rarely bitching and whinging. If I'm on a podcast, I try to be as positive as I can. In life, I see the positives in most situations. You're very rarely going to catch Jason King on a bad day. You might find somebody somewhere that can say, I caught him on a bad day, but you're not going to find a wrestling fan anywhere that ever says he didn't sign my autograph, he didn't take a photo with me. You're not going to find somebody at poker that said I was a dick to them when I was, in the limelight for poker. You're not going to find many people in life that are going to tell you, I heard him say this and this and this. The only things that, my whinging, my moaning, my complaining, 9 times out of 10, I do that at home with the people I love and trust. He was right. I don't ever go into locker rooms and start slagging people off. I don't ever go into locker rooms and start running my mouth about people. I don't do that because I don't think it's smart. That was the best advice I got in wrestling. I'll give that advice to anybody breaking in or anybody that seems to run their mouth. Do not go shitting on people. Do not go crapping on people when you're in the locker rooms. Because trust me, it's going to get back to them. If you ain't prepared to put up, you're going to have to shut up. And that's the worst thing, is hearing guys run their mouths about people. And then, it's like, because a lot of the time, it doesn't make the person you're running your mouth about look bad. It makes you look bad. You're sat there talking crap about people. It's like, dude, get on with you. Worry about you and what you're doing. Don't be worrying about other people and slating them, unless you've got a good means to. Chances are there might be a good reason, but 9 times out of 10 there's not.
Fair
Somebody
comment.
just fancying a wound.
Great, thank you for the answer. That's really, really positive. Just to ask a few more, as this is off the record, I'm going to ask you a controversial question now. What do you prefer? Okay. So, what would you prefer working? Do you prefer working more as a heel or a face, and what is easy to get over? What's the most easiest to get over? Do you like being a heel or do you like being a face? What do you find is best for Jason King or generally sort of wrestling in general?
I don't think that was controversial. It's a fair question. Good question. I think a heel. I prefer being a bad guy. I don't know if Jason King is how much of it's a reflection of the way people see me outside of wrestling, but I enjoy being a heel. I like that connection I can get with the people that way. I don't want people to come in and I don't want to walk out and say to people, love me, cheer me. I don't want to do that. I want to walk out and say, I'm going to give you what I am, and you're either going to like it or you isn't. But either way, I'm not going to change. That's, I think, what my uniqueness, I guess, my character is that I've never changed who I am for Jason King, because I don't change who I am as Jason, full stop. I never. One day someone says, one of the dumbest things I ever heard was someone said to me once in the locker room. They said, you know what, you're all right actually. And I was like, pardon? And they go, because before I didn't know you, I thought you were a bit of a dick, but you're all right actually. And I was like, wait, take a step back a minute. What do you mean I'm all right actually? I was like, you don't just define my entire life. You don't define 28 years of my life by saying you're all right actually. So I'm not suddenly all right because you said so. You don't make me all right just because you say so. It doesn't work like that. Who are you to tell me when I'm all right and I'm not all right?
God, controversial.
Because of my Jason King character, I think I prefer being a bad guy, but some of them want to cheer me. Some of them want to get behind me. They want to say, let's get behind this guy. He's funny, or he's, I let him go. I don't mind. Let him go. Let him be, does John Cena, does Roman Reigns care? If you're booing or cheering, they don't change who they are. They stay consistent, and that's what works for them. That's why they're on top making the most money.
Definitely.
A lot of people don't really get what we do. We're entertainers. They don't really get that.
No, of course.
It's the biggest mistake a lot of people.
I was going to say,
understand.
Sorry to interrupt you. I was just going to say, who would you say had the greatest influence and impact on your life in wrestling?
On my life or on my wrestling career?
You can answer either if they both relate. Whatever you're most comfortable answering, really, Jason. I don't want to put you on the spot.
Most influence on my
or impact.
The UK kid. The UK kid had the most influence on my life in wrestling, because the lessons I learned as I was growing when he was my coach taught me a lot about myself as a person. because of the trials and tribulations of training there with him. I think that I learned a lot about myself in life from, not directly from him, to be honest. He didn't really teach me anything in life, but just the training with him. At the stage of being 21, the physical side of what we had to do, I put myself through a lot that made me learn about me, so he had quite the impact on my career in that sense. Danny Walsh, that got me my break in wrestling twice, the first time and the second time. He had quite an influence on me. I've got a soft spot for him. I always will, because he's a good guy with a good heart, and twice he's given me the foot in the door. One time without even knowing he'd done it, and obviously this time in LEP, he gave me my platform to get over it. He started, were it not for him giving me the option to be Jason King and to go out and do my thing and give me a lot of free roam, I wouldn't have got all the bookings elsewhere. I mean, directly I got them, but indirectly he got them, because he was the one that said, go out and be you, and helped me along the way and guided me when I needed it, and let me free roam too, in the same sense, for other promoters to see all his work I was doing and go, I want that guy. I want that performance on my show. So it was the two coaches, I think.
Brilliant.
It was the two guys that coached me that on a personal level that affected me. Probably to answer both professionally and personally, because I was able to get something from them. Do you know what I mean? To pick something up and learn from them.
Yeah, no, cool. I was going to say, thank you for asking that. I was just going to ask, who would you say is your closest friend in the industry as well?
You know what? I'm going to annoy one of them. There's two, and I'm going to annoy one of them, whichever one I don't say. So, but then there's probably a third and fourth. There's a few so you got the LEP guys. You've got I'm close to any. So let me umbrella them as the LEP guys, because if I miss anybody out by name, they'll all be so upset and be like, you didn't mention me by name. Anybody that's the LEP family, they know who they are. The guys, the girls, the families. I could name the names of the surnames of all the families that come through LEP, but again, I would be here for ages. But they all know who they are. They know who they are. So if they hear this, they'll know. Oh, he means me. And they know exactly who they are. The families, fans that I speak to personally, that I have general chit chat with, and sometimes on Facebook, and that help me through. And I help them through, and I think if you try to pinpoint it, if I had to nail one person, God, it's hard, man. It's difficult. Two or three, you've got like John Aubrey of LEPs I'm really close to. If ever there's a problem and I'm not sure about something, I can always say to him, look, this is what I'm thinking about doing, turning my character this way, putting that in the match. What do you think? And if he doesn't like it, he'll say, I don't know, mate, maybe you shouldn't. And all right, fine. Or I can say to him, what do you think of that? And we're normally pretty spot on, me and him, but he's just a guy I can talk to if I'm unsure about where I was going. If I ask about performance, because he's the ref, don't forget, he sees everything. How was that? Yeah, you were a bit off. Was I? Yeah, you were. Shit. It's okay. You have your good days, your bad days. And I'm like, or alternatively, how was that? You nailed that. Did I really? Yeah, they were hot for that. And I'm like, oh, good lad. So him from LEP, I guess. And I think outside of LEP, you've got Grayson Reeves, was my first friend from wrestling. I think I would say that he was my first friend in wrestling. Still is today. He's off doing his gallivanting about in the Oval tonight, the night that this is recorded, in front of 40 people. So that's cool for him. Good luck. And of course the other one who is also my friend, is Adam Flint, my tag partner. We talk every day about wrestling every day, and probably maybe him, maybe more than the other two, just because I talk to him every day without fail about where we're going, what we're planning, what we're doing, what the growth is, what the next steps are, what we need to do, how we need to do it, so at the moment, but it's those three. And then there are others, like I said, everybody under the LEP, and not just LEP, the DWA family too. Those guys have all been fantastic to me. Everybody, the UK Dominator is wonderful. He's one of my favorite guys. I always have a good chat with him. He's a guy that I can sit down, I can talk to, and I can say, look, this is what's bothering me, or this is, and I really like him. He's like I don't have any father figures. I got my dad. I got my own dad. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
In my life, so I don't need it. But he's like Dom's like an older brother to you. Because I don't really have an older brother figure in my life because I don't need one. I'm a very strong-minded young man. Always have been. But I can go to him and be like, look, what do you think of this? Like, how does that sound? And I can trust his honest view. If he doesn't like it, or he'll say to me, look, mate, you want to do that? I'll say, yeah. He'll say, why don't you go here, there, then there? And I'm like, oh yeah,
Yeah,
So he's got so much experience, and but the PWA guys too, the family. John Harding's another one I really like. I could see, I could rattle off name after name of guys I like and reasons why I like them. But I could be a
yeah, no, of course. No. Thank you very much for that insight. Just before we sort of end the interview tonight, is there anything you want to plug? Or any other comments you want to add? Anything sort of you want to address to your fans?
Yeah, let's just talk about where I'm going to be because my fans are always asking. You will see me in Cornwall. The more info I get on that, the more you'll get. UPW, I will be there March 4 in Yeovil. Please get to it if you can. The Next Generation, UPW run the Next Generation show. It's like a UK NXT. I'm not kidding. Guys that put their hearts on their sleeves wrestled at that show. Wow, what a screamer it was last time. Literally capacity numbers we had. I think we drew better than when Will Ospreay came to UPW. I think we drew better numbers than he drew, and that's not a dig at Will Ospreay because he's a big star. So I'm just telling you the magnitude of what we offered, and it's only going to be bigger this time because of how good the quality of the show was. So you'll see me at PWA in 7 days' time, challenge for the tag title. There's talk of DWA running another show soon. I won't give out the date until I know what it is. Again, Cornwall more as I get it, LEP more as I get it. And let me think. To my fans, I would say, as I always do, without you, I'm just a little man running around in his pants. So thank you so much, because if it were not for you, I wouldn't be living my dream. But if I can help you with your dream, you tell me and see what I can do for you, because you give me the chance, the opportunity, and the feeling to do what I love. So without you guys, I'm nothing, so thank you. 1,000 thank yous and 1,000 more, because it's not without sacrifice and sin that I really, really do put a shift in, and it's not like you guys give me everything, I give nothing back. I really give you my 100%. You know that, you see my work. That's probably why you like me, but I'm just so grateful that you always give me that platform, to my fans. Get on my Jason King page. I'm pretty social on my personal Facebook. A lot of wrestling fans have me, and I accept, and we can chat if I'm free. But, please understand that, like I said in the last podcast I did today, if you message me and I don't message back, please don't be messaging me 10, 12, 15, 20 times. I've got a personal life. Okay, please remember I've got a personal life too. So yeah. I don't mind having you on my social media sites. Please follow my stuff. And by all means, stick some comments on. Tell me what you like, what you didn't like. That's always good to do. I love it. I love hearing from you all. I've got new merchandise coming out. Stay in contact. I know you're all asking about my new merch. I'll give you a clue. It's a spoiler for you, okay? You're not going to be able to call me Burger King. Maybe you are. Okay? That's exciting. A spoiler for you.
Exciting stuff. But no, thank you very much for your time again this evening, Jason. It's been another fascinating interview, and we really look forward to seeing you again.
Really enjoyed it.
Thank you very much. Thank you everyone for listening to the SCW Wrestling Podcast Off the Record. I've been your host, George Jones. The normal SCW Wrestling Podcast will be back sometime later this week with a fantastic preview of the up-and-coming Royal Rumble. But thank you all for listening, and thank you for your time.